Morning, students. So, I'm Dr. Vijay Mandari, Associate Professor in SIIT SCSE Department. So, we are going to perform experiment number 8, and the name of the program is Implementation of Logistic Regression using Python. So, now, before we start the logistic regression, I would like to tell you about the regression. So regression is a statistical relationship between two or more variables in which a change in the independent variables is associated with a range change in the dependent variables. Logistic regression is used to estimate discrete values, usually binary values like 0 and 1, from a set of independent variables. It helps to predict the probability of an event by fitting data to a logistic functions. This is called logistic regression. Now the questions comes into our mind, why regression is used. Okay, so let's say we have a website and our revenue is based on the website traffic. So, and we want to predict the revenue based on the site traffic. The more traffic is driven to your website, the higher your revenue would be, or at least that's what we would intuitively assume. In a plot of revenue versus website traffic, so traffic would be considered the independent variables and revenue would be the independent variables. The independent variable is often called the explanatory variable and the dependent variable is called the response variable. However, they are typically referred to as independent and dependent variables. Our intuition tells us that the independent variables drives the dependent variables. And if there is some relationships between the two variables, then we would be able to use the independent variables to make predictions on the dependent variables. Now we see the logistic regressions. Now we can see here, we need to understand why we would use logistic regression and not linear regression. Picking the machine learning algorithms for our problem is no small task, but it behaves like linear regressions versus logistic regressions. Now we will understand the logistic regressions. We need to understand why we would use logistic regressions and not linear regressions. Picking the machine learning algorithms for your problems is no small task, but I would like to understand linear regression versus logistic regressions through the implementations. Now we will see here we are using the Sublime Text. It is a live process suite, and now we are into first cells, importing the libraries, importing NumPy as NP, and importing matplotlib pyplot as a PLT, and importing the pandas as PT. Now importing the data sets, and we downloaded the data sets, social network advertisements.csv files from the UCI machine learning websites. Okay, now we splitting the data sets into the training sets and test sets. Now we move to new cells, feature scalings, and then fitting the logistic regressions to the training sets. So now we come to our results, and we can see our results very easily. Okay, so this is the results. This is the results. Logistic regressions training sets. During the training sets, we get the results of these. The age is on x-axis and estimated salary on y-axis. So these are the training sets, but we are taking the 20% of the testing sets. So we get more accurate results on the testing sets. So hope you understand all these things, this course, and about the logistic regression. Now we will see in next session, experiment number 9. So that's for today. Thank you. If any doubts, so please ask me. Okay.